Picture this. You're a little kid in PE class and you're playing dodgeball today. Now, obviously, nobody wants to be the last person picked. So embarrassing, right? Well, that certainly wasn't the case for Ricky Pearsall. Who the fuck is that guy? Oh my gosh, what a reach. What's up, YouTube? It's Jacob and Garrett here today, going to be talking about some of our reactions to the 2024 NFL Draft, which was absolutely insane. Garrett, say hi.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Yeah, so we got Garrett virtually today, not in person. But yeah, so first pick right off the bat, Chicago Bears, Caleb Williams. Honestly, not surprised. Um, Bleacher Report has this pick ranked as or graded as an A. What do you say, Garrett?
I mean, we all saw this coming. This is a pretty obvious pick for the Bears, and I think it's a good fit, especially with the Roma Dunze ad later on in the draft, which we'll get to. But
For sure. Yeah, honestly, I don't really have much to say. I mean, everyone thinks he's generational talent. Gonna be like Patrick Mahomes esque, is what they like to say. So yeah, we'll see if it really comes into fruition. And second overall was Jaden Daniels. Did you see this coming, Garrett?
yeah, I think the first four picks of the draft, I knew they were coming.
I'm super excited for him, honestly, because I feel like he's in a really good system. When the Patriots drafted Mac Jones, that was super unfortunate. He didn't really have all the playmakers to work with. And Jaden Daniels, even though some of them are older, some of them are veterans, overall, I think he's going to a really great overall team with lots of experience. So hopefully it makes it easier for him being the new guy on the block. Also worth noting, Bleacher Report has him graded as a B grade. So, I don't think he's going to be like guaranteed success at the NFL level. But I also think he was the second best quarterback in this draft, so I'm cool with that. Number 3, New England Patriots taking Drake May. Honestly, I really thought the Patriots were calling people's bluff. There was like an interview with Gerard Mayo saying that he basically wasn't entirely sold on Drake May.
Drake May had a fantastic interview at the combine. He brings a lot of energy. You can tell he has that leadership ability. And also the exciting part about a guy like Drake May is the ceiling. Like, there is really no ceiling with a guy like that. Now, in saying that, when we're trying to put together this roster, I know a lot of people look at the ceiling, but you also got to kind of see how low is the floor. How low is the floor? And I would say a guy like Drake May, he has a lot of room to grow. He's a young guy. Honestly, he hasn't played football nearly as much as these other guys, so that's definitely something that we've looked at. But he definitely is going to develop.
He was stupid for saying that because I feel like everybody knew Drake May was going to go third overall. It was just a matter of to who. So I feel like he shouldn't have downplayed Drake May because then he's kind of like devaluing his own pick, so to speak. I feel like the Patriots should have traded down, try and get like an offensive tackle and like a wide receiver in a deep wide receiver class. And if you can get both those guys in the first round, hopefully they pan out for you. But, drafting a quarterback with as untalented of a roster as the Patriots are, I don't like the pick personally. If I had to give it a grade, I would give it, I'd say a C. I feel like he's definitely like in like the second tier up there with Jaden Daniels. I think he's a tier above Michael Penix Jr., J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix, all of them. But overall, I don't think it was the right move for the franchise in the long term.
It's giving mid vibes to me. I don't know why. He's gonna go out there and get crushed behind a bad offensive line with no weapons to throw to. He's gonna end up being like a Mac Jones, just getting cracked every single play and just being a mid quarterback.
So interesting enough, Bleacher Report actually grades this pick as an A. When you have bums as wide receivers, it's going to be pretty hard to succeed at the NFL level. Alrighty, so number 4, Arizona Cardinals, Marvin Harrison Jr. For me, I thought this pick was 100% happening. I know some people were speculating that they might trade the 4th overall pick. Me, I felt like it was a no-brainer. Go get that generational talent for Kyler Murray. Make sure he can ball out next season and hopefully get the Cardinals trending upwards again.
I think they made a good move taking him there.
Bleacher Report thinks so as well, giving him an A-plus grade. Not bad. All right, number 5, Los Angeles Chargers take Joe Alt. I'm not going to lie, I was a bit surprised by this. I saw it as a possibility, but I didn't think they would actually do it. Seems like everybody that I'm friends with in our little fantasy football group chat was also quite surprised. Joe Alt going number 5. I don't think it's a bad pick. With John Harbaugh being the new Chargers head coach, I definitely feel like he wants to kind of pound the rock a little bit, so to speak. So, this isn't a very talented running back draft class. Any running backs going in the first round, I would have been extremely surprised. However, drafting what most people believe to be the best offensive lineman in this draft at 5, I feel like that's pretty decent value. As far as whether it's better to take a receiver or a offensive lineman at 5 overall, honestly, I like it. I like picking the offensive lineman. It's not a sexy pick, but I think that Justin Herbert's a talented enough player. He can relatively make it work, even if he has somewhat of a weak supporting class.
To be honest, I was really hoping Malik Neighbors would go here. I think it would have been a great fit there with Herbert. Like you said, this is a John Harbaugh pick. He wants to run the ball, and that Joe Alt will definitely help him do that.
I know fantasy managers are crying at the fact that the Chargers did not draft a wide receiver, but who knows? Maybe Quentin Johnson can be that guy. I mean, 1 year, I feel like it's a little too early to count someone out.
I think they're definitely going to take a receiver in the second round here today.
Garrett, without telling you what Bleacher Report grade is, what would you give this grade?
A B-.
All right. I'll give it an A, which is also what Bleacher Report gave it. I mean, obviously, I can see their grades too, but overall, I just thought relatively good value pick. And we saw what happened last year when they drafted a receiver in the first round, so might as well draft an offensive lineman that fits Jim Harbaugh's coaching style a bit better. All right, so number 6, New York Giants take Malik Neighbors. Garrett, you want to give your thoughts on this one first?
Yeah, this is a guy that the Giants love. They love this type of receiver, this little shifty, quick route running guys. Recently taking Wandale Robinson and Jalen Hyatt the past couple years in the draft. I think it was possible they could have taken Rome Odunze here ahead of Malik Neighbors, just for that big guy to give Daniel Jones a target. But, I mean, I think Malik Neighbors is the better player here, and I'm most likely going to get him on my dynasty team, so I'm a little biased. I love Neighbors. I love his tape. I love his work ethic. I think he's a stud.
Interesting take. I think now that the draft has officially happened, a lot of people's mock drafts might change quite a bit. I could see Rome Odunze going 3rd overall instead of Malik Neighbors, but we'll see. My thoughts on Malik Neighbors, thank God the Giants didn't fumble the bag on this one. I mean, he could still be a bust. I'm not saying like he's guaranteed to be amazing, but I was really concerned the Giants might draft a quarterback. And again, with like the way I feel about that, your roster's terrible. Get some good guys on your team first, and then go out and get your guy. You're already paying Daniel Jones a decent amount of money, not like crazy top 3 money, but just build some talent on that roster and then get a quarterback. Thank God they did not trade up.
Yeah, there was a chance they take J.J. McCarthy here, and like you said, I don't think that would have been a good fit.
Bleacher Report has this draft graded at an A. What do you think, Garrett?
I think it's an A as well. I love Neighbors.
I almost want to give it an A+ just for specifically not drafting a quarterback, but I'll give it an A as well. So, 7th overall, Tennessee Titans take J.C. Latham. All right, maybe controversial opinion here, but I don't think J.C. Latham was the best offensive tackle in this draft, or best offensive lineman either. I feel like Fashanu, I think that's how you say his name. I feel like both of those guys might have been better prospects, but I'm just an NFL casual. What do you think, Garrett?
I know they wanted to go for Joe Alt, but the surprise pick from the Chargers at 5 kind of threw a wrench in their plans. So I think they went with the second best O-lineman, in my opinion. But again, I don't know O-linemen very well, and especially I don't know them in this draft. So mid. I'd give it a C+, B.
Okay. For me grading this pick, I like J.C. Latham as a prospect. Again, I don't even think he was necessarily top 3 offensive lineman in this draft. I feel like he should have gone maybe 4th or 5th out of the offensive linemen, maybe like around pick 18 or so. So I would give it like a B grade. I still like him as a prospect, but I think there was better options here at 7th overall. Also, Bleacher Report agrees with Garrett and gave him a C+ grade. Alrighty, Garrett. So the 8th pick, easily the most insane, controversial pick in the draft. Atlanta Falcons. I don't even have to say who they drafted. Garrett, who did the Atlanta Falcons draft?
Penix.
What are your thoughts on Michael?
I think he's a good quarterback. I think he went too early for my taste. Also, to the Falcons, who happen to have a quarterback already that they just signed for 4 years, $180 million. So definitely an interesting play there from the rival of my Saints. So I can't really complain about it.
So you're happy as a Saints fan. If you're a Saints fan, let me know in the comments below. How do you feel about the Falcons drafting a backup quarterback? So my opinions on Michael Penix Jr. is I think that he could be a great quarterback in the league. I don't think it's a bad thing that he sits behind Kirk Cousins for at least a season. The problem I have with this pick is the money. You know, you're going to go pay Kirk Cousins $180 million on a 4-year contract and then draft a quarterback with the 8th overall pick. So that's a big problem. I know from what I've seen, it looks like the Falcons kind of have an option to get out of Kirk Cousins' contract in year 3 or year 4. So I could see them doing that. I do feel really bad for Kirk Cousins. I think he deserved better for them to just get him on the team. Hasn't even played a single game with the Falcons, and they already take his successor plan. I think that was a bit shallow of a move by the Falcons.
You love Kirk Cousins, right?
I love Kirk Cousins, so yeah, maybe there's a little bit of bias there. But also wanted to point out that I don't think Michael Penix Jr. was the 4th best quarterback in this draft. I think he has the potential to be, but right off the gates, I don't personally like it. I think drafting Michael Penix Jr. at 8 overall was way too early. I saw some arguments that, you know, lots of teams were planning on drafting quarterbacks this year, and with the Broncos at 12 and Raiders at 13 and obviously Vikings at 11 at the time, there was lots of speculation that quarterbacks would go fast. I don't think Michael Penix was going to go until 2nd round. I think this was a bad pick overall, and I'm not a fan. So one thing I do like is, as a Packers fan, you know, historically drafting a quarterback and having them sit behind a veteran for at least a year is not a bad thing. You know, it worked out with the Packers, obviously with Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love, most would say. But it also worked out with the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. So I like the concept, but I believe it's just way too early to draft Michael Penix. The value wasn't there. I also believe it's way too soon for the Falcons to draft a quarterback after signing Kirk Cousins to a 4-year, $180 million deal. All around, I think it's the right idea, wrong time. I don't like it. I give it a C- just because the concept is there, but it was just too early and too forced. What grade would you give this, Garrett?
They could have traded back and still taken him later in the 1st round or maybe even in the 2nd round. That being said, I'd give it a D, because I still like Penix as a quarterback, but bad pick.
Yeah, then Bleacher Report here has it graded as an F. So
F.
Not a lot of people fans of that pick. All right, so 9th overall, Chicago Bears draft Rome Odunze. What are you thinking?
Rome Odunze pairing up with an already loaded Bears offense, it gives Caleb Williams a huge advantage as a 1st-year quarterback. I don't think there's been a 1st overall pick with a team this well balanced in a long time, maybe ever.
Yeah, to piggyback off what you're saying, I think not only Caleb Williams, but I think Rome Odunze is also in a great position to succeed here in Chicago. You know, he's not going to a team where he's expected to be the number 1 wide receiver right off the gate. Chicago's got DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze probably looking at being the 3rd receiver, maybe the slot guy. Not entirely sure how they plan on using him, but I like the pick a lot. You know, give your quarterback everything he needs, what you failed to give Justin Fields in his career, and yeah, overall, I'd give it probably, I would say an A. You know, defense is a bit shaky, but I like that they're loading up on offense.
Oh yeah, I think this pick's an A as well.
Bleacher Report also gave him an A grade. All right, so number 10 overall, Vikings trade up with the Jets and draft J.J. McCarthy.
I think this is a great pick for the Vikings. I expected them to trade up to get their guy. But it seems like they didn't need to.
Okay, they did trade
I'm
up.
fucking stupid. You go first.
Okay. Oh my god.
Sorry.
I might put that at the end as a bonus clip.
No.
Number 10, Minnesota Vikings trade up with the New York Jets and go get their quarterback of the future, J.J. McCarthy. So, I'm going to be honest, I definitely thought out of all the teams, the Vikings were most likely to go for J.J. McCarthy. I thought that was his most logical landing spot. But I also wouldn't have been surprised if the Vikings traded up to number 3 with the Patriots and drafted Drake May. Bold take, because I know a lot of people right before the draft were saying the Patriots were going to stay pat, draft Drake May. Like I said earlier, I wasn't convinced. I thought the Vikings was one of those teams that could trade up, you know, maybe give the 11th pick and the 23rd pick, maybe even a second next year, and go get their quarterback of the future, whether that be Drake May or J.J. McCarthy at 3. I wouldn't have been totally shocked if McCarthy went at 3. But overall, I think it's good for the Vikings. I think trading up was necessary. I could see the Broncos or the Raiders trading up to 10 to try and grab a quarterback at 10 right before the Vikings do. So I like it. You know, trade up one spot. They didn't give up much. They gave up a 4th and a 5th round pick, I believe next year, maybe this year. I'll put it on the screen somewhere. But yeah, so they gave up a 4th and a 5th. Not a whole lot of compensation to move up one spot. And that way they know for sure they get their guy. Do I think J.J. McCarthy will succeed in the NFL? I don't know. I'm not sold on him being the franchise guy for sure. But I think he's in a great situation, assuming Justin Jefferson stays on the team. They also got T.J. Hawkinson. They also have rising star Jordan Addison. So I'm hoping that this is a good fit for everyone involved. For grades on this pick, I'll give it an A-. I feel like J.J. McCarthy might be a little bit overhyped. I do think there is a good chance he could be a bust. Overall, I like that the Vikings were basically able to stay put. They didn't really have to give up much draft capital to trade up, and getting him at 11, I think, was relatively good value.
Yeah, I agree with you. J.J. McCarthy coming off a championship with his Michigan football team, obviously coached by Jim Harbaugh. He's in a good position to succeed in the NFL. Vikings don't have very many options. There's rumors going around that Justin Jefferson is going to be traded away. Do you believe those rumors, Jacob?
Not a damn chance. When you've got a generational talent like Justin Jefferson, I think you got to do everything in your power to make him stay. Obviously, that doesn't always work out. Sometimes players choose to hold out. Sometimes contracts and financials just aren't where they need to be. But I think overall, I think Justin Jefferson is willing to stay on the Vikings, get that massive payday, and he'll feel confident knowing that his team drafted a quarterback in the first round this year.
I think the Vikings got their guy. I think they could have traded for a better quarterback, but overall, I think it's a B.
If they trade for a better quarterback, who do you think they could have gotten?
I think Drake May would have been a great fit for them.
You think the Patriots would be willing to do it?
You know, the Patriots are the Patriots. I think there's always a chance.
All right, so number 11, New York Jets traded down one pick with the Minnesota Vikings and draft, I'm not even going to attempt to say his first name, Fashanu. I do think Fashanu is probably my offensive tackle number 1 in this draft personally. So I think the value was pretty good. I think that the Jets going all in on offensive line this year is not a bad investment, whether it be for Aaron Rodgers the next 2 years or possibly a different quarterback in year 3. I think that Fashanu is going to be a solid player on this team long term. I know it's not necessarily the sexiest of picks. Some people were really hoping Brock Bowers here. For me, being in a dynasty league, Brock Bowers would have been pretty nice. But overall, Fashanu I think was a great choice by the Jets. I'd give it an A.
Yeah, again, I don't know anything about offensive linemen. You're the offensive lineman guy here. All right, B.
I'm gonna cut the video to where it's just you saying, "All right, B." No, I'm leaving it as that. That's gonna be your take. Is all right, B. Bleacher Report here gives the draft grade an A. So cool. All right, so at 12th overall, Denver Broncos select Bo Nix. My thoughts on this: obviously, quarterback is a big need of the Broncos. I don't know if Bo Nix is that guy though. With any quarterback, he could be, he could not be. But overall, Bo Nix at 12. I think if the Broncos didn't draft quarterback here, Raiders might have taken him. Based on the fact that we already know Michael Penix Jr. is gone, this is basically the last good quarterback of the big six prospects. So, do I like the value? No. But do I understand the need? Yes. Again, I have a feeling I just don't think Bo Nix is going to work out in the NFL. It's just what my gut tells me. Overall, I'm going to give this draft pick grade a C+.
Well, the Broncos who just signed Zach Wilson, Jarrett Stidham, some other bum,
Ben
it's not going to be a
DiNucci.
good team. They also have an $85 million dead cap with the Russell Wilson cut. Not great.
Bleacher Report says, at the very least, Nix is a better value than Michael Penix Jr., whom the Falcons took at 8 overall. I agree with that,
This is true.
I still feel like it's a bit of a stretch, but again, if you're the Broncos, this is like the last notable quarterback available. I don't blame them for making the pick, but I think it was forced. I don't think he's going to be the franchise guy overall, and I think they'll just end up drafting another quarterback a couple years from now. Bleacher Report says it's a massive reach and grades it at a D.
I give it a D.
All right, so 13th overall, Las Vegas Raiders take Brock Bowers, tight end, Georgia. All right, so hear me out. Hear me out. For fantasy, this pick sucks. There's like no quarterback.
I think this is a bad pick because they just drafted Michael Mayer last year.
So my thought process is, the Raiders, they're not as bad of a team as I think people believe them to be. I think they're turning the culture around really well. I think they're trending in the right direction. Obviously, they have like no answer at quarterback right now, in my opinion. Gardner Minshew, I like it. Good bridge option for now. But I definitely think that the Bowers pick overall was pretty good. I think you're setting the future quarterback up for success, even if that future quarterback doesn't come this year. Also worth noting, Raiders do not have Josh Jacobs anymore. He's now a part of my favorite team, the Green Bay Packers. So I think getting at least another talented player at a skill position on offense was a necessity, in my opinion. I would have liked to see them get a wide receiver, but I think Bowers was the better value as a pass catcher here. Wow, very interesting. Bleacher Report gives an A+ grade. All right, so 14th overall, we got New Orleans Saints draft Talise Fuaga, interior offensive lineman from Oregon State. Honestly, I like the pick a lot. I think that Fuaga was probably third or fourth best offensive lineman in this draft. Only other person who I see could have potentially been better than him was maybe Troy Fautanu. For the grade, I'd say a B+.
I like the pick here. I think he's a great player. It's just a little disappointing seeing the Saints go offensive lineman in the first round for the third straight year. With the troubles that we've seen from Ramczyk and his knee and the bust that's Trevor Penning, I think it's a necessity the Saints need at this moment. I was personally hoping they'd go defense. I really like Terrion Arnold at corner, and Arnold would pair up really well with Marshawn Lattimore and Paulson Adebo, and then with Tyrann Mathieu in the back. Offensive line is a necessity. Hopefully he can help Derek Carr not be atrocious this season and help open up some run lanes for Kamara in the run game.
What grade would you give it?
I give it a B.
Bleacher Report also gives it a B. Okay, so 15th overall, Colts draft the first defensive player in this draft class, Laiatu Latu, edge, UCLA. Honestly, I feel like it was a bit of a reach. In my opinion, I think Latu was maybe the second or third best edge in this draft. I really like the idea of Dallas Turner going first out of all defensive players. If you wanted to draft Quinyon Mitchell or Terrion Arnold there instead, I'm okay with that. If not Dallas Turner, then Jared Verse. Overall with this grade, I'll give it a B minus. I think he's a good player. Injury with his neck is a bit of a concern.
Yeah, I think the Colts really need an edge rush. They got who they think is the best guy in this draft.
Cool.
I'll give it a B.
At 16, Seattle Seahawks take Byron Murphy to second. Honestly, not surprised here. I had done some mocks and I could see Jerzon Newton or Byron Murphy going to the Seattle Seahawks. I think Jerzon Newton going before Byron Murphy is what most mock drafts believe. If Seattle Seahawks thinks Byron Murphy is the better defensive tackle, and so be it. Go get your guy. I think he might have gotten drafted a little bit early compared to where he was going in other mocks, but anything can happen in the NFL draft, and I think it's a position of need for them. Overall, I'd give it a B+.
Yeah, I think Murphy's a good pick for the Seahawks. A little bit undersized, but he's a stalwart there in the middle of the line. I give it a B.
All right, Bleacher Report also gives B. All right, so number 17, Minnesota Vikings trade up with the Jacksonville Jaguars for Dallas Turner. I absolutely love it. I think Dallas Turner is the most talented defensive player in this class. Going at 17 is crazy to me. I originally had him mocked at 8 with the Atlanta Falcons, so the value is absolutely there. I think edge rusher is one of the most valuable positions. I'm surprised he dropped this far, and he was too in the draft. He looked a little bit upset. It was kind of funny. Yeah, I think this is a Grand Slam A+. I think you got the best defensive player in the class at 17.
Yeah, I think Turner's a great edge rusher. Like you said, I believe he's one of the best defensive players in this draft. The Vikings getting him on defense after getting their franchise quarterback and J.J. McCarthy. I think the Vikings are setting themselves up for a good future ahead. I give this an A for the Vikings. Great pick.
And Bleacher Report gives it a B. Interesting. Cincinnati Bengals, Marius Mims, offensive tackle, Georgia. One thing I think is super interesting about Marius Mims is that he doesn't have a lot of college experience. It's my understanding that he's only played 8 games, but he's a really big boy. I think he's like 6'8", pretty sure. Yeah, so he's 6'8", 340 pounds. He's a 5-star recruit despite the limited experience. I think this is a guy that could be a very good prospect. I think he's just raw. I think he just needs more experience, and I like him being on the Bengals. He could kind of maybe take a back seat to Trent Brown, the recently acquired offensive tackle, and kind of just work his way into the offense. Maybe start on a snap count his first year. Overall, I give it a B-.
Definitely doesn't hurt the Bengals. I bet you Joe Burrow loves this pick. However, the impending trade of T. Higgins could have a pretty big effect on this offense, and if it does, I expect Mims to have a larger role if that is the case.
Number 19, we got the Los Angeles Rams drafting Jared Verse, edge. I like it. You know, you lose Aaron Donald, get another player on that D-line to help bolster undoubtedly weaker unit than the year before. I think Jared Verse was the second best edge rusher in this class, and getting him at 19 I think is a steal. I give it a A-.
Yeah, it's an explosive guy. He helps the Rams with the departure of Aaron Donald. I think it's a great pick to stabilize that defensive line. B+.
Bleacher Report gives it an A. All right, so 20th overall, Pittsburgh Steelers draft Troy Fautanu. I had him mocked at probably the 3rd or 4th best offensive lineman in this draft. Getting him at 20, I think it's definitely a need on that Steelers offensive line. I think it's great value. Overall, I'll give it a B+.
Yeah, adding an offensive lineman to the Steelers offense, who just acquired Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, helps to stabilize his offense a little bit more, and I think it's a great pick. A. I'll give it an A.
Bleacher Report gives this an A+. 21st overall, Miami Dolphins take Chop Robinson, edge. So, you know, a year or two ago, I remember hearing a lot of noise about Chop Robinson, him being a first-round draft pick, maybe in the top half of the draft. However, I think since then, it's been a lot different of a story. I think Chop Robinson's maybe the 4th best edge here. I could have seen him going late in the first round or possibly early in the second round. Overall, I'm not upset about where he was drafted at. I think it's definitely a need with Christian Wilkins being gone. And I think he could be a pretty good player. I think he is a bit overhyped than now possibly undervalued. I'll give it a B+.
The Dolphins get an edge rusher there. That defense was not very good last year. They were mostly reliant on their offense. Of course, they still have Jalen Ramsey. They got rid of Xavier Howard. Adding this edge rusher to the defense is actually pretty huge, especially one that's named Chopped, which, fun fact, he's named Chopped because he was a 14-pound baby. I'd give it a B+.
All right, and Bleacher Report gives it a B. Philadelphia Eagles draft Quinyon Mitchell. Personally, I'm surprised he went this late. I think he's going to be a damn good prospect. He did not look the most amused to be on the Eagles. He kind of had like a straight face or a frown the whole time. But I hope all works out for him. I like the pick. I think corners definitely need. I give it a A-.
The Eagles needed a corner there. Darius Slay has not been the same since he got injured. I'll give it an A.
All right, Jacksonville Jaguars. Crazy how this pick transpired. There's so many different trades. I'm not even going to try to describe it. You can see it on the screen there. But Jacksonville Jaguars draft Brian Thomas Jr. I think it's a bit interesting. You know, they already have Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, who they just received in the offseason and paid a good amount of money to. Overall, I like it. You know, you're still trying to, as embarrassingly as this sounds, figure out if Trevor Lawrence is really the guy or not. So why not give him one more pass catcher to work with? But overall, I mean, C+, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that you can really never have too many weapons for a young, aspiring quarterback, even if he is 3 years into his career. I give it a B+. I like it.
Personally, I like Brian Thomas Jr. He was the number 2 to Malik Neighbors in LSU, obviously with a good Jaden Daniels at quarterback. If they can work him in better than they worked in Calvin Ridley into that offense, I think he'll be a great addition to the team. I disagree with the Bleacher Report grade at C+, B-.
24th overall, Detroit Lions trade with the Dallas Cowboys and get Terrion Arnold. I love it, honestly. Lions being a competing team, corner was a big weakness for them. They struggled in pass defense last year. Trade up, get the second best cornerback in this draft class, possibly even the first. I love it. And that's coming from a Packers fan. I give it an A-.
Wow, that's high praise, especially from a Packers fan. Yeah, personally, again, I like Terrion Arnold. I wish the Saints would have taken him at 14. I think the Lions got themselves a dog. Love the pick, A.
Bleacher Report gives it a B. Alrighty, so 25th overall, Green Bay Packers select Jordan Morgan, interior offensive lineman from Arizona. Honestly, like just being real, I had never even heard of this guy. Like I mostly looked at first round or like early second round prospects and kind of read some information about them. I don't even know who this guy is. And if I don't even know who he is, I'm a bit concerned about my team drafting him at 25. I feel like there's definitely other players we could have drafted, such as Cooper DeJean. Would have loved Nate Wiggins too, especially since we're going for that aggressive defensive play style with our new defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley, I believe is how you say his last name. Hafley wants to get a lot of interceptions, get a lot of turnovers on the defense. I would have loved a Nate Wiggins there, or even Cooper DeJean. He's pretty flexible. Can do safety, can do corner, but we got linemen. I feel like we already had pretty versatile offensive linemen that could play multiple different positions. Felt like the depth was like relatively good on the offensive line, and I think we draft and develop offensive linemen really good. I think especially with such a deep offensive lineman class, I would have liked it better if we got somebody in the second rounds. But with us moving on from David Bakhtiari, I do certainly see the need. Again, I feel like we draft offensive linemen well. I feel like we should have waited till the second round. Overall, I'll give it a C-.
Fun fact, I just got a notification from Bleacher Report. The Minnesota Vikings offered the Patriots 3 first-round picks for their number 3 overall pick.
That's insane. And the Patriots still declined.
The Patriots declined. They really loved their Drake May.
That's crazy. So my theory about the Patriots not being sold on Drake May, well, it sounds like they had a change of heart.
Oh, another O-line to the Packers. It's a great decision. Helping out Jordan Love as much as they can become the stud that I believe he is, and I hope you believe as a Packers fan. I don't know how they keep getting away with it.
You can't keep getting away with it!
But, Packers quarterbacks, they always figure out a way to be good.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Graham Barton, interior offensive line. Me personally, I thought Graham Barton was a much better prospect than Jordan Morgan. I think that this guy has a lot of potential. With every pick, there's also the potential for bust, but I like his flexibility. Overall, I give this grade, I would say a B. Bleacher Report also gives it a B. What do you think, Garrett?
With Ryan Jensen's departure, I think this is a great pick. It helps solidify that line to help Baker Mayfield and that offense keep rolling. It kind of pains me a little bit as a Saints fan. I don't like to see that offense getting any more dangerous than it already is. Um, Hopefully Chase Young and Cam Jordan can counter it pretty well. For the Buccaneers, I think it's a great pick. A minus.
All right, so 27th overall, Arizona Cardinals with the pick they got from the Texans. They draft Darius Robinson, defensive line, Missouri. So again, I think edge players are always important. Darius Robinson, I feel like he could have gone early in the second round, but we're also at the end of the first round, and I think it's a valuable position. I don't totally hate it. I feel like there could have been some other pretty good offensive line prospects still there. Definitely some good cornerbacks, maybe Cooper DeJean or Kool-Aid McKinstry. I mocked to the Cardinals multiple times. But overall, I'll give the pick a C minus.
Yeah, not a bad pick. Cardinals need help on defense. Hopefully give the Cardinals some kind of resistance on the defensive side of the ball. I think there's better players here they could have taken. Overall, I'd give it a C plus.
All right, and Bleacher Report also gives it a C plus. So something absolutely insane. Kansas City trades up with one of their biggest rivals in the AFC, Buffalo Bills, and they go get their receiver, Xavier Worthy, who set the record for fastest wide receiver in the NFL Combine in NFL history. So that's crazy. I'm personally shocked. I think the Chiefs trading up, I didn't think they would do it, but I love the idea. And especially if you can go get a great wide receiver instead of Buffalo. I think that Buffalo had a lot of holes to fill after they lost all those defensive players. Tons of Buffalo fans, I'm sure, are very disappointed in the team for not drafting in the first round and cutting all those guys. But at the end of the day, if you're Buffalo, if you can trade down and get some extra draft capital, I do think that's important. I would have loved Buffalo to get Adonai Mitchell or Xavier Worthy here. I would say unfortunately, but I don't think it's really unfortunate. But regardless, the Chiefs trade up, get what they believe is going to be a stud wide receiver on their team, and hopefully it pans out. You know, they're trying to find their Tyreek Hill replacement. They tried with Marquez Valdes-Scantling, didn't exactly work out. Too many drops. Hopefully Xavier Worthy can be better than he was. Overall, I give it a B. I'm not sure he's a guaranteed success in the NFL, but I love the concept of Chiefs trading up and getting their wide receiver guy. Bleacher Report gives it a B+.
Yeah, as someone who has Patrick Mahomes in Dynasty and in redraft, I love this pick for the Chiefs. They're coming off a season with Rashee Rice, MVS, Kadarius Toney, quite possibly one of the worst wide receiver core in the league. Funny enough, they end up winning the Super Bowl. I think it's a testament to how great of a quarterback Patrick Mahomes is. Adding Xavier Worthy on top of Marquise Brown and the emergence of Rashee Rice, even though he's in a little bit of legal trouble at the moment, I think this offense takes a big step forward with an aging Travis Kelce. Give this Xavier Worthy to pick an A+. I love it.
All right, so Dallas Cowboys traded down with Detroit Lions and draft Tyler Guyton. This is a guy I had mocked to Dallas plenty of times. Obviously, with Tyron Smith leaving the Cowboys, offensive tackle was a pressing need. Got to keep Dak Prescott protected if he does stay in Dallas. A little bit of controversy there. But yeah, overall, I love it. Tyler Guyton to Dallas makes a lot of sense. I give it a B+. Bleacher Report gives it an A.
Yeah, I think Guyton's a great fit in Dallas. I don't really have much more to say about that. I'll give it a B+.
30th, Baltimore Ravens select Nate Wiggins, cornerback. I love this pick personally. You know, I think Nate Wiggins is a big man-to-man kind of guy. He's a bit skinnier.
Sorry.
He's a bit skinnier of a frame than most NFL teams would probably like, but he's a good man-to-man guy. I think he can cover receivers very well, and I think it's a great value pick at 30th. I give it an A-.
I think he has some good potential, but I have some concerns with his coverage skills. There's some times in college where he gave up on plays and wasn't necessarily what I thought to be a franchise corner. But the Ravens have a great defense as it is already. Adding a young guy to learn with this great group of guys, it gives him a really good chance to succeed in the NFL. So I'm giving him a C+.
I like that. Bleacher Report gives him a D grade. They also give him a comp to Emmanuel Forbes, who was 166 pounds when went in the first round last year. Obviously, he's looking like a massive bust, even though he's only 1 year into his career. Wiggins here being 173 pounds, not much bigger. All right, 31, San Francisco 49ers. Arguably the second most controversial pick of the night after the Michael Penix Jr. pick was the San Francisco 49ers taking Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver, Florida. I have a friend who, well, both of us have a friend who's a 49ers fan, and I think, needless to say, he was pretty disappointed and surprised here. I think that if you really wanted Ricky Pearsall, draft him in the second round. I don't know, maybe if he's even in the third round. I legit hadn't even heard of him until after the draft. I think that better players would have been, Adonai Mitchell, I think, is the best value here. Possibly Keon Coleman, who's been slipping lately. Maybe even Xavier Legette. I feel like all three of those wide receivers are a more proven prospect, in my opinion, and definitely surprised to see him go here. Overall, honestly, I give this pick a flat-out F.
I agree. I don't like the pick. Personally, I liked Adonai Mitchell here better. I think he would have fit their scheme. Potentially could have replaced a Brandon Ayuk after a trade. I just don't really know too much about Pearsall. I didn't expect him to go in the first round. I'll give this pick a C-.
And Bleacher Report gives it a C. All right, somewhat surprising, but not really. Carolina Panthers sneak into the first round at 32nd overall from Kansas City through Buffalo. They draft Xavier Legette, wide receiver from South Carolina. I feel like he had a lot of people ranking him pretty high earlier, and then kind of slid a little bit, and then Carolina Panthers still see that value in him, go draft him at 32. I don't think it's a terrible pick. I think it's really hard when it comes to determining the best wide receiver this late into the draft after a few have already gone. But I respect the pick. I like that Carolina is trying to get Bryce Young some weapons. I like that they're not afraid to trade up, even if it's only one pick. Buffalo very easily could have taken a receiver there. So I like that they go up one spot just to make sure they get the guy that they want. Overall, I'd give it a B-. Bleacher Report gives it a B.
I don't like Legette personally. He went 4 years in college, and 3 of them were bad. Not even like mid, they were bad. And then he had one breakout year, senior year. But that one breakout year, he was awesome. I don't think any of those guys work out in the NFL who have a really late breakout age. But we'll see. Carolina's not the best landing spot just because with Bryce Young. And they had just drafted Jonathan Mingo in the second round last season. Aging Adam Thielen. They just got Deontay Johnson. This is a team trying to make a splash and make a name for themselves and give Bryce Young some weapons. I give this pick a B+.
And Bleacher Report gives it a B. All right, well, thank you so much, Garrett, for tuning in and helping me out with these draft reactions. Got anything you'd like to say before we go?
Yeah, I mean, other than the fact that the Saints are going to win the Super Bowl this year,
Cut the video. It's done now. Sorry.